Sue, yeah, you can go get a beer.
All right.
Already giving me work to do. Really? Really with
fine.
this?
It's fine, man. You need to earn your keep anyway, you know? Welcome to Drafted, a podcast where we, draft things. I'm your host, Daniel Prentice, joined by my ever-present co-host, Preston Thompson. Preston, how are you doing this week, and do you have anything to drink, especially for this episode?
Well, hey Daniel, I am doing okay. Yesterday was my birthday, as some of you may know.
That's right, happy birthday.
Thank you. My future brother-in-law got me an old-fashioned kit, so I'm drinking an old-fashioned that, to be honest, tastes just mostly like bourbon, so I don't think I did it right, but it is good because bourbon is good, so that is what I'm drinking.
Sounds good. And we are joined this week by a good friend of the pod. She is a star of the premier Ultimate League. Lindsay Sue is joining us for another fun draft. Sue, how are you doing, and do you have anything you're drinking special for this episode?
Hey guys, I'm super excited to be here. I am not drinking anything special, just a Blue Moon, you know. It's the last of my quarantine beer rations. So
oh no!
Once I kick this, then I'll have to get some more.
Yeah, it is starting to get desperate times. I myself am lame, like in our first episode. I'm just drinking water. I didn't have power for about 4 hours. We actually didn't think we were going to be able to record this episode. And we're also recording a little bit earlier than usual, so I am just drinking the water. It was like real hot. It's real hot in Tallahassee. It was real hot without the AC on.
Yeah, it's actually 7:30 a.m. and I'm drinking an old fashioned as we're recording.
Yeah, so we appreciate both of you coming on so early. Before we get to the draft, and I'm going to throw it over to Preston in a second, but before we get to this, I want to ask you both about this. I saw that on Twitter, and it felt very appropriate for this podcast. What is the most valuable part of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? The peanut butter, the jelly, or the bread? Who's the number one overall pick in the peanut butter jelly draft?
Oh, okay. My logic immediately jumps to the peanut butter is the part of the sandwich that people disagree upon the most. I think people are usually okay with different types of jelly, but some people hate crunchy peanut butter. Some people would much rather have it over smooth. So if that's the part that's most debated, it would track that it's also the part that's most important.
I have to disagree with you there. I think that although peanut butter is the best part of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I say that you can't have a sandwich without bread, so you got to go with bread.
Oh, wait, yeah, that's a great point. You just put it on your hand and then just eat it off your hand.
See, I still think it's peanut butter.
So if bread is the most important part, if you were really hankering for a PB&J, would you eat it on like a tortilla, like a folded tortilla?
No, not a tortilla. But I think you can have lots of different kinds of breads. That would be fine. You could have it on like a bagel. You could have it on, plain white bread, wheat bread. I think, you could have it on toast. Peanut butter and jelly can be good on any kind of bread, I think. But without the peanut butter...
Hot peanut butter and jelly is good. Yeah.
Think about how gross just a jelly sandwich would be, regardless of how good the bread is.
Well, you have like jelly toast, though. You have toast in the morning, you put jelly on it.
I do not do that.
You're a crazy person. Okay.
Okay, anyway, so now we've got that settled. Let's get to the next hot topic of the episode. Preston, what are we drafting?
Well, today we are drafting Disney Sidekicks to form a new and really better Avengers ensemble. We've excluded Disney villains. We're going to leave that for a later draft. And we've excluded, I believe, the Incredibles just because they're already kind of the Avengers and it seems kind of unfair. That just seems a little easy. I think a couple superheroes are still going to kind of make their way in there, though, so I'm very curious to see how this goes. The main characters from Disney villains, the female lead and the male lead, are excluded. So you can't take Simba, you can't take Nala, but you could take Rafiki, Shaman of the Jungle, if you really wanted to.
Yeah, the classic Disney sidekicks. I'm thinking like A-Team, maybe like the Mystery Gang. Is that what they were called in Scooby Doo? I know they drove the Mystery Machine.
Scooby Doo and the Mystery Gang. Now I'm doubting myself, actually.
Yeah, me too. I think
but
it's
I think
the Mystery
that's right.
Gang, though. But Sue, are you good with that?
I am okay with these parameters.
We got a lot of pushback from Sue. She really wanted to expand it to villains and what else? Disney princesses she wanted to include here. Those will all be touched on in future drafts.
Okay, well, I have I like to think outside the box. I just wanted to expand the meaning, and I think we could have made some really great teams, but I understand that we want to keep it simple, so I can stick to the sidekicks.
You got to think about us.
Some great folks lined up.
You got to think about us.
Draw this concept out as much as we possibly can. Soon.
We've got like 52 episodes to record a year. If we just do all Disney and then we can't come back to Disney, it's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, send us your draft ideas at DraftedPod on Twitter and draftedpod@gmail.com. Go ahead and plug that in there.
Please do. But I think we're ready for this one here, as long as we're on the same page. And per the greatest website on the face of the earth, random.org, our draft order this week is Sue leading off, then Preston second, and then me at the back end in third. And then, of course, the usual snake-style draft, so the order will reverse on even rounds. Sue, why don't you get us started? First pick.
I'm very excited to be the first pick. Just going to kick off my great team here. I think you'd be a fool not to take this guy, but I'm gonna take the genie from Aladdin.
Yeah, I was usually I don't care about draft order. I think there are going to be good things to pick no matter where. But I was really hoping as I entered the names in for random.org before the episode that I was going to get that first pick, because genie is just so clearly the most valuable pick. I was really hoping after I got the third pick that both of you were going to slip up somehow and not take him. But Sue gets the unquestioned number one player.
Yeah, he needs a nerf. He can literally do anything.
Yeah.
I actually wasn't sure if he would be allowed, and I was afraid to ask in case I wasn't in the first round and somebody else would steal him.
Nope.
But yeah, so I think it's pretty gold, and I think it's pretty clear why.
Never ask for permission, Sue. Just ask for forgiveness after.
It's true.
Exactly.
So Sue nails her first pick. I mean, just the unanimous, top overall, most valuable player. Let's see how Preston follows it up.
Well, to keep with drafted tradition, I'm going to immediately try and expand the rules of the draft and potentially get yelled at, because that happens in the first round of every draft we do. I have my list separated into tiers: A tier, B tier, C tier, and then the deep cut utility picks. As you can tell, this is the most preparation I've done for any one of our episodes thus far.
Yeah, I love it.
So Genie obviously is an A tier pick. I mean, obviously. Another one I'm going to go for that I think loosely defines as a sidekick, maybe life's greatest sidekick, is I'm going to go with Zeus, father of Hercules. Now, if Zeus is not a sidekick of Hercules...
not a sidekick.
Isn't your dad just your best sidekick you've got, though?
No,
really?
Hercules has two sidekicks. Zeus is not one of them. Though I appreciate the creativity. So, Sue, you can be the deciding vote here.
I'm gonna have to say no here.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Mostly because
you guys are the
I'd be
worst.
afraid of your team if you got
How
him.
is he not a sidekick?
In what ways is he a sidekick? He's barely in the movie.
He's the king of gods.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. Zeus is sidekick
but Hercules,
to literally no one.
Hercules does have to come save him, so clearly not the king of, protecting himself. But seriously, can we hammer in the definition of what a sidekick is then before I make another?
I think it's one of those things you know it when you see it. Robin is a sidekick for Batman.
God. Okay. All right. Can I
Zeus? Come on. Zeus is not a sidekick.
I'm gonna make another pick here that I think is kind of on the same theme, but may actually get me into the good graces. You know what? A lot of the A tier ones, based on your justification, they're not looking great. I'm gonna go ahead and cross off King Triton from The Little Mermaid here. Go ahead and take him off the list.
Yeah.
All right. So for my pick, then let's try this one. What about the fairy godmother from Cinderella?
Okay, I still think it's a little shady, but I'm fine with that, actually.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, I mean,
that seems reasonable to me.
Yeah, comes in and helps our hero
do
the task that she has set out to do. Seems right. And I'm not even going to talk about, though, how Zeus comes in and at Hercules' pivotal moment comes alive in the statue and helps him and gives him the Pegasus. It seems like what a sidekick would do. But no, fine. Fairy godmother, sure. Seems cool to me, I guess.
But that's just like a Deus Ex Machina moment, It's not really him being a psychic. I would say, to have a definition of psychic, it's a character whose primary, if not only role, is to support one of the main characters. And I don't think you could really argue that that is Zeus's role in Hercules.
I suppose that you're correct. Yes. Okay.
Okay, well, I honestly had not considered Fairy Godmother. That is a great pick, though. Another character who just kind of can do literally anything.
Yeah.
I am going to take the most superhero-like character that I think, that I feel fine taking. I'm going to take Baymax from Big Hero 6.
It's a good choice.
I mean, he really is basically just a big superhero that looks like the Michelin Man. Very friendly and helpful in every way, and seems like a great first pick to build my team around here.
And we're explicitly not drafting the rest of the Big Hero 6 characters since they are just straight up superheroes in a comic book. Baymax is like slightly different, so
yeah. I mean, and like he clearly has a more intimate role with the main character of the movie than the other superheroes. So that was how I justified it, and I'm glad I didn't get too much pushback on it. And number 2, I feel like this might be a dark horse pick. Let me know if she was on either of your boards. I'm taking Tinkerbell because now every single other person on my team can fly.
That's a great point.
I thought about Tinkerbell. I do think that there are some issues there, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Yeah, please do.
She has some issues with her emotions. I think she might let her emotions get the better of her occasionally. She gets jealous very easily.
Yep.
She's really dedicated to Peter Pan, but I don't know if everyone else could easily win her over. So I don't know if I can necessarily trust her with the team mentality. Although she definitely can fly and she's got magic powers, so that is a big win.
So I think it's only a problem if Peter is in the picture. And he isn't in this case, so I'm not too worried about it. She can be a little rash in how she reacts to things, but I mean honestly, I'm really just bringing her along for the flying power for everyone else. Even if she stays at home, because she's upset with one of the other members of the team, I'm honestly pretty fine with that.
But it seems like from the rules of Peter Pan, if she leaves or mentally abandons the party, right, then they can't fly anymore, right? Am I making that up? Like you're saying, Peter not being in the picture makes it easier. What if Peter not being in the picture sends her into this downward spiral?
No. See, but we're operating from in this universe where she has chosen to join this new crime-fighting unit. So she's made that decision. She's grown since the last time we've seen Tink.
So you're going with an emotionally mature Tinkerbell.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. She has matured. She's in a better place emotionally, a more stable place, and she's comfortable, adventuring on her own, solving her own problems, not just being Peter Pan's sidekick, so to speak. All right, so Preston, you are up with your second pick.
Well, I'm going to go with the last available character in my A tier here. Several of them were eliminated due to some rules that I will be petitioning at a later date.
Yeah, file agreements.
I'm going to go with probably a lesser-known character here. Still definitely a sidekick, but from a movie that came out, I think just maybe 2 months ago. And that is the Manticore from the movie Onward.
Oh, yeah.
I need some verbal confirmation on if either of you have seen Onward.
I have seen Onward.
I have not.
Well, it was immediately where my brain jumped to because it's a land of magical things. And if I want somebody that's overpowered in my party, I go there. She is a part wolf, bear, dragon with a giant sword of justice. Yes, with a giant sword that is famous for slaying large beasts and enemies. So I feel like she's definitely in the A tier. Her combined with Fairy Godmother, I'm off to a really solid start.
She's a certified beast. I do think Onward is Pixar though. I don't know if we agreed to include Pixar in all this. I feel like that changes the shape of things.
Recent Pixar though is a combo Disney Pixar property, right?
Okay. I mean, if we want to get that gray with our parameters, I'm fine with it.
I mean, put it to a vote. I'll pick somebody else if you guys are gonna make me do that twice in the first 10 minutes.
I mean, honestly, I think my team is really strong, so I don't even worry about it.
Wow, so just
okay. Okay.
No, I'm not gonna make you repick twice. This is like the Seattle Seahawks in the Legion of Boom era. This is maybe losing to people with football, but they were always the most penalized secondary for pass interference and holding and stuff because they would do it every single play, and they would know if you did it literally every play, they weren't going to call it every play. So every time you got away with it was a win.
I'm setting a new standard of rules that now everybody has to follow. Yep.
Yeah. So Preston, basically, you just egregiously break a rule with your first pick. so that you can less egregiously break the rules for the rest of your picks. It's a winning strategy, really.
There you go.
All right, Preston. Or no, sorry. Preston just made his second pick. Sue, you have back-to-back picks.
All right. So, my next pick is going to be Maximus from Tangled.
Ooh.
And
The horse, right?
yes, this is the horse. Here's why. I did get some, when I was planning this, I got some feedback from other people.
Oh.
And I got pushback on this because they said, if you're going to take a horse, why not take Pegasus?
Yeah, that was my first
obviously.
question.
Yeah, it's a very valid counterpoint.
I know, and I know what you're thinking. You know, Pegasus can fly. Yes.
Kind of dumb, though.
But
Is that where you're going
I
with
have
this?
the genie already.
Brain of a bird.
I have the genie already who can really, he can fly, certainly. And, you know, he could make other people fly if we really needed that. So I'm not too concerned about it. And I think that Maximus has a little bit more drive than Pegasus does. I think Pegasus, you know, has, you know, he helps out and everything, but he's got Hercules. Like, Hercules kind of carries the load there. So I don't think he's quite as dedicated as Maximus is. And he's, you know, lawful good. But he does bend the rules a little bit in dire circumstances, so I trust his judgment. And he's also trained in combat, so.
Yep.
That is, yeah. That's throwing some shade at Pegasus there, though.
Yeah.
But the more you talk about it, actually, it kind of does make sense. And Daniel, you said it's like the brain of a bird, right?
Yeah.
Whereas,
Is this an anti-Pegasus podcast?
Like, well, would Pegasus be fighting crime if it weren't for Hercules? Is the operative question.
Probably
and
not.
the answer is almost clearly no, right?
Anyway, Sue, you have another pick.
The next pick I'm gonna make is Shenzi from The Lion King. And for those of you who don't immediately know, Shenzi is the lead hyena.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Voiced by Whoopi Goldberg. Yes, exactly. So I like this pick because I was really worried when you said that I couldn't have villains, but this is a villain sidekick. I think that Shenzi, again, is very driven, and she once she's like given a task and like allowed some amount of power, like she'll really go for it. And she's also like the leader of her hyena pack, and she really knows like what's up with that. So I think she'll be able to kind of like rile up the troops and like work with the team. And you know that, you know, she's kind of a villain, so she's got that edge that can kind of take you extra and maybe make a decision that's like a little morally ambiguous, but it'll definitely get the job done.
It's kind of your like commanding officer. I like it. Of just like is going to do what it takes to win and let everybody be angry at her so the team does better as a whole. I like it.
It's unconventional. And I mean, Preston, did you think of Shenzi when you were making your list of potential picks?
No, but that's because most of my list is made up of the best dads, so yeah.
Fair. Yeah, I did not, but I mean, that's why we brought Sue on. You know, she thinks outside the box. I love it. Preston, you're up, my friend.
Well, so can no dad be a sidekick? Because that eliminates most of my picks here.
So I do want to say that it's not Zeus being a father that disqualifies him from being a sidekick. It's more like in his in-movie role. But why don't you try us? Let's see what you're thinking here.
Well, then give me Kerchak from Tarzan, the silverback gorilla that leads the clan.
Aren't they like enemies? Don't they fight each other?
No. He's skeptical of Tarzan for a time, but when a greater enemy emerges, they take it on together. By the way, the greater enemy is man the whole time, obviously. So, I mean, is that going to pass? Is that going to blend?
I mean, I feel like if you asked who Tarzan's sidekicks were, they would never say Kerchak. They would say Turk and whatever Wayne Knight's elephant character's name is. But so I'm going to leave it up to Sue once again.
I can allow this. You know, I'm a big fan of thinking outside the box. I think that is an admirable trait. So as long as they're not really a main character and they're like affiliated in a way that's not a literal god, I think that is a
So I can break the rules. I just can't get somebody too OP when I break the rules. I get it. It's fine. But I mean, there's not much left to say about Kerchak. He's a giant silverback gorilla. So
No, personally, I think this is a bastardization of the entire process, but we're gonna let the guest decide what goes and what doesn't. So Preston gets Kerchak with his 3rd round pick. Okay, I'm delighted by this. I didn't think I would have these people fall to me here. I'm taking Mushu from Mulan because he's a dragon. I know he's little, but he's a dragon and he has magical properties, and that seems extremely valuable.
He is not little. He is tiny. He would be small in the snake world. He is so incredibly small.
But I mean, he'd be big for a lizard.
I mean, yeah, fine. If
Yeah,
you
but
want
that
to take
doesn't
just
say
like a
much.
lizard. Yeah.
Listen, he can
He
breathe
also
fire.
really doesn't do that much magic. And
Yeah,
he was shunned from the ancestors because he couldn't get the job
Correct.
done.
Absolutely. And yes, he can
I
breathe
think this
fire.
is another instance where he Mulan is carrying him. Like he wouldn't
Come on.
the only reason
Come on.
he got let
Where
back
would
into the
Mulan
fold
be without
is
Mushu's
because
support?
Mulan.
She never makes that journey without.
Okay,
Mushu.
I guess if
But-
you want a cheerleader, he was really more of a mom to Mulan.
Yes,
than
that's it.
anything.
Mushu's value comes in the emotional support category. Am I going to say that's not useful? Absolutely not. It's wonderful. That's
Well, the
why
guy
I
who's
wanted
picking
to
nothing
pick
but
mostly
dads, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted the emotional support on my team. But you're saying he can breathe fire. I mean, he's basically like a glorified lighter. When she lights the firework to blast it at the mountain, she pulls him in between 2 hands and has to like rip his spine open, and then he does like a little just a little of embers. That's like nothing. That's nothing.
I think you're way under appreciative of what Mushu brings to the table. I'm psyched to get him in the 3rd round. And then this one may be also a little off the board. No, sorry. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna say that pick for later. I forgot. I'm taking Little John here from Robin Hood. He's a big bear he's an expert in hand-to-hand combat with swords, bows and arrows. And he's just a great guy. He's also huge, and again, a bear.
I like it. Similar to my Kerchak pit, just like a big animal.
Also, are you at all concerned? I meant to bring this up earlier with Kerchak and Shenzi actually, and Maximus. Really, all the animals that have been taken. Are you not at all concerned with communication with non-animal characters?
I thought about that, and Tarzan figured it out. So if Tarzan figured it out, then presumably other members of the human race can figure it out as well.
Tarzan was also raised by gorillas, though, over decades.
It will take time. I'm not saying it'll be easy, but it's possible.
Okay, and Sue, what about you?
I'm not worried about mine. Yeah, I'm not worried about mine because the genie obviously can go pretty much into any form and communicate. Also, Maximus has been known to communicate with humans, so
That's
again,
fair.
I just don't have too much of an issue with that. I think it'll be okay.
And so Genie will basically be a translator for Shenzi. Is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'm sold.
But I mean, we don't know if Shenzi and anybody else in the Lion King can or cannot communicate. You know, we just
It's true. They never interact with
we
any
weren't
humans.
shown it.
So
Doesn't mean they can't.
yeah.
I mean, I guess that's technically true, but I think if you asked, me if I thought that the hyenas in Lion King could communicate with humans, I would say no, most likely. But technically, we don't know that for sure. It's not canon. I'll grant you that. Now, Preston, your 4th round pick is up.
Well, I was going to save this little guy for later, but I kind of want to take him just to spite your Mushu pick. And
Are you take the cricket?
No. Oh, yeah, the cricket, the lucky cricket. Yeah, no, get out of here. Come on.
He's not even
come
lucky.
on. Daniel, come on. Take this seriously, okay? For once. Okay. So
I wouldn't
this is
put it
a
past
C
you.
tier. This is a C tier character for me, but I feel like the more I think about it, the more he moves up. His name is Bruni, but what he really is the fire spirit from the movie Frozen 2. He is about a 4-inch long gecko or salamander that can create fire at will. Essentially Mushu, but better. Now, problems. He cannot talk. He does have a temper. But he has been shown to be cooled down with just some patient leadership. But I basically have, a Human Torch type situation in the form of a little 5-inch lizard. Have either of you seen Frozen 2? Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
Not a clue.
I have not seen Frozen 2, so
Well, then
careful with
good.
the
Neither of
spoilers.
you can tell me I'm breaking the rules. So my plan is working perfectly.
Yeah, we can't really rebut in any way. I hated the first Frozen, so Frozen 2 was not on my
You
to-watch
hated the
list.
first Frozen?
Yeah.
Who hurt you?
Couldn't say. It was so hyped. It was so hyped. Everyone's like, Frozen's incredible. And it was just the most mediocre movie. I just was not into it.
Well, it's not incredible, but it's also not mediocre. So
I don't know.
Okay.
We'll save that for another podcast when we draft most overrated Disney films of all time. Sue, you have back-to-back picks once again.
All right. Okay. So my next pick is definitely a dark horse. I would be surprised if either of you would have thought of this, but I think he brings some serious importance to my team. I'm gonna take Sergeant Tibbles from 101 Dalmatians.
He was on my list, actually.
He was okay.
Yep.
Wow. So, then Daniel agrees with me here. Sergeant Tibbles, I think he has like a size. Oh, he's smaller. He's a house cat essentially, or a barn cat. But he can like sneak into small places, and like he's got a lot of agility. That would come with a cat. But he's very much he'll do what's told. He definitely a lawful good kind of guy. And he's just able to get the job done. I think he would add. He's definitely a follower, and he doesn't add a huge amount to our like firepower, but he's very capable, and I think he would add to my team very well.
Yeah, he plays a pretty heroic role in 101 Dalmatians. I'm not surprised by this, but Sue's team is developing into a very animal-heavy lineup. I'm actually surprised it took you so long to take a cat.
I do love the cats. I thought about this a lot, and I've changed my order a bit because it was very, very cat heavy when I first made it. So I've had to adjust, which will come in with my next pick. Mama Odie from Princess and the Frog.
That hurts.
Yes, I'm glad I got her because I was afraid she was going to get nabbed. The reason I brought her is, one, because I do think I need some more variety. Having a human I think will be important. Two, I think she adds a nice emotional balance to the team. I think my team before was, we didn't have someone to kind of like bring us together. Like Genie and Maximus, and it can be very emotional.
Some
and
rogue
Sergeant
agents.
Tibbles is, yeah, exactly. And so I think Mama Odie brings like a calming presence. And voodoo magic that really adds a lot to the table. I think, even though she's blind and old and won't add much to the fighting department, I think she brings enough to like have her on the team.
You're also overlooking her most important quality, which is it is completely canonical in that movie, if you watch it, that she can speak to animals. So like that is a huge link in your team to help everybody communicate amongst each other. I mean,
Exactly.
she doesn't have to do any of the
That'll
training.
speed up. We won't need the translator.
Great team
Exactly.
building from Sue.
Yeah.
Really
She
tremendous.
was definitely on my list as kind of a deep cut utility type person. Because, basically just like a magical shaman mother.
And there's
So
no team
I guess
should be more
moms are
valuable than
okay.
Sue's.
Moms are okay, but not dads, I guess. So it's fine.
All right, Presto.
Happy Father's Day, everybody.
Let's see which family member type Preston picks with his next selection.
Boy, well, just gonna throw this out there, and maybe
Okay.
I'll edit it out. But you guys wouldn't be cool with me drafting a car from the movie Cars, right?
Okay, question though: can the cars communicate with anyone else on your team?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I would guess not.
I think I'm gonna stay away from the Cars if everybody else agrees to, just because it seems complicated.
Yeah, I didn't even consider Cars. I didn't consider any Pixar movies, so.
Open your mind. Okay. Here's what I'm going to take then. So for this one, since Mama Odie was taken from me, I think I'm going to go and continue my large animal theme. And I'm going to take Louie the alligator from Princess and the Frog. Essentially just a ginormous alligator. I mean, if you're watching the movie, clearly one of the bigger alligators to have ever lived in our modern time. And can play the trumpet and has a very warm and nurturing personality. So, challenges with this pick. He is shown in the movie to be kind of a wimp. I think he gets like some thorns or something in his butt, and they gotta like pull it out for him. I don't really like that part, but great intimidation factor because he is a giant alligator. Feel like he can combo well with Kerchak as kind of just a like flex player, giant strong thing guy. So yeah, there you go.
And to be fair to him, an alligator isn't exactly going to be able to pull thorns out of his own butt, you know.
It's true.
Just anatomically
but
speaking.
He did seem like he was in a lot of pain, so that is problematic for me.
Yeah. I mean, thorns in your butt would hurt. Okay. It's my final 2 picks. I'm really surprised. I don't know how people will interpret my team, but I have gotten a lot of the people I have wanted. First here, I have like 3 that I'm kind of torn over. First, I'm going to take Jiminy Cricket. Because, this is a team of sidekicks, and I think it's very important to have kind of like a leader. And to have a smart, calm, rational person who is, at the helm. So Jiminy Cricket, very small. I mean, he's literally a cricket. I don't expect him to be doing a lot of, like hand-to-hand combat or anything like that. I have other characters to deal with that for me. But I think just the value he brings is that he is, he's the head guy. On a team of sidekicks, I think that's very important. Everyone is used to deferring to other people, and Jiminy Cricket is a conscience. So I feel good about that.
Your team is so small. They are all tiny. Like I think that has got to be a big time concern.
Are my bruisers? Listen, we're good guys
Baymax
here.
is going to accidentally step on one of your other team members.
Remember,
and it's
we're
going
all
to ruin
flying.
their whole day.
Remember, we're all flying anyway. No one's stepping here.
Wait, you have? So I forgot about this. You have Tinkerbell, a cricket, and a lizard, and then a giant inflatable Michelin Man.
Yeah, and Little John, who's a big grizzly bear.
Seems strange.
Listen, man, I'm covering all my bases here. I'm the most well balanced team. Okay, and then I'm kind of torn here between 2 characters. The other that I think I'm not going to take is Raja, Princess Jasmine's Bengal tiger.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go that direction because I think I don't need all my team to be big. I just don't need that. I'm going to close it out with Nick Wilde from Zootopia. He's extremely cunning and clever, and he has experience in crime, which I think is extremely valuable. He gets inside the head of the bad guys who we're trying to bring to justice. I think that's huge for us. He's a
flag on
reformed
the
bad
play.
guy.
Flag
Is
on
he
the
not
play.
a main character?
He is the male lead.
Yeah.
He's the male lead of that movie.
I mean, I feel like Judy Hopps is clearly the lead, but
No, but in every Disney movie, because we live in Western culture, there is a male lead and a female lead. So he is the male lead.
okay, touche.
I mean, like Nala is the female lead of Lion King, right? And she's on screen for way less than
fair.
that guy is.
That is fair. Okay, I will grant you this. But we can all agree it would have been a great pick if legal, yes?
Would have been a great pick, yes.
Well, sure, it would have been a great pick. I picked Tom Brady in next year's NFL draft. Oh, he's already drafted? Well, it would have been a great pick.
He's like 45 years old. That wouldn't be that good of a pick. Well, then I guess I'll just take Raja, who can't communicate outwardly with humans, but definitely seems to be able to understand Princess Jasmine. So can be communicated with, and just seems to be a good-hearted, enormous tiger. You know.
Lindsay, you're a cat person, right?
I am a cat person, yes. I have 2 cats. They're both right next to me right now.
So how do some cats, how do they behave when you kind of pick them up by their unders and kind of put them out in front of you, when you kind of dangle their feet above the air?
One of them tolerates it, for my cats at least, and one of them
tolerates it,
hates it. So
gotcha.
It really depends on the cat.
Right. So the question becomes,
they like being independent.
Sure. So the question becomes, if you're a large, like 600-pound Bengal tiger that's being floated by Tinkerbell, how are you going to react to flying through the air?
I feel like you're misrepresenting the flying ability that Tinkerbell brings. She's not picking up Raja. She dips pixie dust on Raja, and then Raja can fly.
He's not going to want to do that. Like, I've never seen any cat that wants to be off the ground for more than 0.5 seconds.
Because they can't fly. If a cat could fly, it would fly all the time.
I don't know. I feel like
This
you're
is ridiculous.
stretching that a little bit.
This is ridiculous. I've never heard on this pod. I've never heard a more outlandish rebuttal to a pick than Raja, if he could fly, would not want to fly because he's a cat.
I'm just saying, cats don't like to be in the air.
Cats can fall from any distance and be fine. I think it would bring him to a new level of comfort. There's something to you unlock
do like to be
the
up
next
high.
level of cats. Yeah, come on. Thank you, Sue.
All right.
They like to be up high, but it might take some adjusting. You'd have to do some serious training ahead of time for everyone to be comfortable, I think.
Sure. I mean, no one starts flying, and is used to it right away. There's an adjustment period for sure. Anyway, Preston.
All right, well,
you of the fatherly and motherly picks are up next.
Yeah, well, I had kind of saved this last spot for Pegasus potentially as a utility player for people to get around. I think the points we've made about his personality are very valid. I also feel like most of my team is not going to be able to utilize Pegasus as a giant alligator, a giant silverback gorilla, and a fairy godmother who can already fly, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to pick the trainer of heroes, Philoctetes from Hercules. It's kind of like a coach role. I've got the brawn, I've got the muscle, I've got the power. Kind of need the brains a little bit. And say what you will about Phil's past failures, that heel of Achilles really did him in. But he trains up Hercules in 2 minutes and 15 seconds. I feel like he's a good addition to the team to get everybody, into the spot they need to be.
That really is the most efficient montage in movie history, isn't it? I mean, Hercules
Absolutely.
starts as like the wimpiest, puniest looking teenager to being, a demigod who just is an absolute Hulk of a man. So yeah,
who apparently doesn't love his father enough to call him a sidekick, but that's a problem for a later time.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think he's kind of like the Nick Fury of your
Absolutely.
sidekicks.
Great
That's
comparison.
absolutely what I'm going for. Yeah.
I love that pick, Preston. All right, Sue, why don't you wrap us up here?
All right. I was a little torn on this one, but I really think that I'm gonna go with Pumbaa for this last pick. It's kind of an odd take, I think, in some ways. But he really shows himself to be both willing to make himself a bait to the hyenas, as well as be when they misname him, he's ready to fight, and he does, and he causes some serious damage, so he can hold his own in a fight, and he's brave when he needs to be, and he's also just a very loving guy, and I think that'll be a nice.
So, do you see any tension developing between Pumbaa and Shenzi on your team?
Yes, that is something I've thought about. I think once they're, Shenzi is clearly the leader of my team. I think if we have those distinct levels, hopefully there won't be an issue. And I think that Shenzi can, when she has a goal, she's not going to try to eat Pumbaa in the middle of a mission, at least, as long as we provide plenty of sustenance to her. So I think we'll be okay, but I definitely see that is a potential conflict risk. But again, once you get to know Pumbaa, how could you want to eat him? So I think it'll be okay.
I actually have another concern with this pick, and both of you I think brought this up with Tinkerbell. How would Tinkerbell do without Peter Pan? I would be much more concerned with how Pumbaa would do without Timon.
It's a great point.
Isn't the summary kind of that Pumbaa was a complete mess before Timon came into his life?
It's true. He found his aroma had a certain appeal. He could clear the whole savannah with every meal.
Yeah, he's a sensitive soul, and Timon kind of came and whipped him into shape and made him the functioning warthog we see in the film. That's my concern.
But like you said with Tinkerbell, Timon was in his life, and that helped him grow as a character, as a sidekick, and now he's better for it, and he's ready to kind of go off on his own a little bit, and
okay,
he'll do great things, I think.
Don't
undercount Pumbaa.
I would never. I just for the sake of the pod, I have to do these things. I am here for like a
Gotta ask the
standalone
hard
Pumbaa
questions.
film, though. When are we going to get that? I think that would be great.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the last pick of the draft. To summarize, Sue has the genie from Aladdin, Maximus, the horse warrior from Tangled, Shenzi, the lead hyena from The Lion King, Sergeant Tibbles from 101 Dalmatians, Mama Odie from The Princess and the Frog, and, of course, Pumbaa. I think easily the most lovable character. Well, that's not true. You have Genie as well, so never mind. And then Preston has the fairy godmother, the Manticore from Onward, Kerchak, Bruni from Frozen 2, Louis the alligator from The Princess and the Frog, and Philoctetes from Hercules. I have Baymax from Big Hero 6, Tinkerbell from Peter Pan, Mushu from Mulan, Little John from Robin Hood, Jiminy Cricket from Pinocchio, and Raja from Aladdin. We'll be back in just a moment to break those teams down. Okay, we're back. I think this half of the show is going to be pretty rough for me based on the reactions I got from my fellow drafters in the draft half of the pod. But let's break down these teams. I'll start with Sue. Was there someone who you wanted to pick, a sidekick that you really wanted on your team, but it just ended up not working out?
I did. I was really thinking about, again, I have cats. I'm a big cat fan, and it was going to be a cat-heavy team, but I had to rethink and, get some variety in there. I really wanted Bagheera from the Jungle Book.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's like a dad, Preston. You get that.
Yep.
And he's very dedicated to Mowgli and to doing what's necessary, but I just didn't think he brought anything more than I already had, and he might get to like single track mind for like his family or things like that. He might not be focused on the mission, so I had to leave him behind, unfortunately.
Preston, how about you?
Well, most of mine were dads, as we've already mentioned, but in terms of who wasn't, I really only just have one question that I was kind of mulling over all day on whether or not should play a role in my draft.
Uh-huh.
Can Olaf die?
So
there are several scenes. There are several scenes in Frozen and Frozen 2 where he gets like run over by a sled and like thrown into a million pieces, and then he just kind of puts himself back together and he puts his little sticks back on his thing and his nose back on his thing. The only way it seems like he can die is if Elsa is incapacitated. And as you kind of said with Peter Pan and Tinkerbell, like Elsa's not in the game here. So does that just make Olaf invincible? Now, can he do anything with that invincibility? Probably not, which is why I didn't really push the envelope by taking him. But like, it seems like he might just not be able to die.
I mean, he can melt, right?
I'm gonna. Yeah, exactly. He was worried about, not worried. He wasn't really upset about it, but he was saying like, "Oh, this might be my last day ever." When everything started to melt, and then
but she infused him with this sort of magic that makes him not able to melt. He like stands near the fire and doesn't melt.
Oh, I missed that. We've already touched on my feelings of Frozen, so.
You're probably right. Because Elsa gives him a personal like snow cloud, so I think he's good.
Right. What does he bring though?
He might be invincible.
Beyond immortality.
Just the fact that my team can never fully lose a fight because they could never kill Olaf.
Just win on pure exhaustion
and comic
from the other
relief.
guys.
Exactly. It's the
That's about it. Yeah.
To really dig into the nerdiness, it's the scene from Doctor Strange where he comes back to Dormammu and just dies 1,000 times. That's essentially what Olaf is on my team. He will just die a million deaths for the sake of the team. Although, I still didn't think he brought enough to really warrant taking.
Yeah. Ironically, for me, there weren't really any that I was paying not to take, which I think will be ironic when we get to who you all think were the worst picks. But I was sad that Timon and Sebastian did not get taken, because I think Timon is just the best sidekick in any of the Disney movies, and Sebastian has the best songs of any of the, except maybe Genie. I mean, Genie has some pretty great songs, but Sebastian has the two best songs in Little Mermaid, so. I
was worried about a lot of the characters being locked into a certain place, right? Like Sebastian, can he really be effective like on land? Like we see him do some cool stuff underwater, but like that's kind of why the alligator is a stretch for me, but he does have like legs and can walk around on land and stuff.
Yeah, no, I think neither of them brings a tremendous amount of value to this exercise, but I just wanted to shout him out because I love them both. Okay.
I also
Oh,
think
yeah.
I mean Timon's great, but he's a little whiny. He's a little whiny. I don't know. I do enjoy him, but
It's an endearing
I don't know
whininess.
if he can.
It's a
It is
Nathan
endearing,
Lane
but
whiny.
like,
Yes.
but but will he be ready to like take on a mission? I don't know. If
No,
he's,
no,
Yeah.
definitely not. I want to clarify.
And-
Don't think either of them should have been picked. I just adore both of them. So I was a little sad that we didn't get to mention
Okay,
them.
that's fair. That's fair.
And so I wanted to do that. Okay.
This whole draft,
Yeah.
kind of became about what I'm going to call the Pegasus question, which is,
Yeah.
would they actually fight crime without the main character? So like Timon falls into that where you're like, probably not. He's kind of just there because of
Oh,
Simba.
no, not a chance. Timon would never have any conflict in his life if it weren't for... I mean, they just
Yeah,
would have
so I'm
stayed
trying
in
to think on
that oasis forever, you know?
Right. So I'm trying to think on my team if I've got anybody that just wouldn't do anything because the main character doesn't exist. I don't know. But anyways.
Well, I think the Manticore, you could argue. Because the Manticore is retired until the main characters come along and drag them into their journey, so to speak.
That is true, but as you said,
It's a bit of a stretch,
with
though.
Tinkerbell, this is a voluntary, I'm joining a crime-fighting unit. So assuming she's on my team, she's like effectively coming out of
back.
retirement, right?
She's back,
One
baby.
last ride.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. I was, if any of your picks met that criteria, I think it would be the Manticore. But that's a stretch. I will give you that. Okay. Well, that kind of leads us into the very next question, and you can all hate on Jiminy Cricket now. What was the worst pick of the draft?
Jiminy Cricket, maybe.
Yeah, I literally cannot. I can. You need to justify again why Jiminy Cricket was a pick because that to me just makes no sense.
Yeah, run it back.
Okay, so this is a team of sidekicks, right? None of these characters we've taken are used to be, except for the Manticore, because the Manticore, isn't really a sidekick in creation.
Yes.
Until the movie comes
It's
along.
not used to being a sidekick.
Yeah. None of these characters on my team are used to being the decision maker or the leader. They always default to their supported character. And I think Jiminy Cricket is really the only sidekick who you could kind of argue is that decision maker. Like, he is the leader. He's the sidekick to Pinocchio, but he's also Pinocchio's conscience. He's like the smart guy who tries to lead him down the right path. And so he's not going to be doing any fighting, but he is the guy who is the brain behind the whole operation. And I think that's very important.
I guess it seems like there are a lot of other characters that you could have picked to maybe fill that role. I'll grant you that, my version of that is taking Phil from Hercules. He's got some fatal flaws, but if somebody were to come at him with a knife, he'd be able to do something. I mean, he's not a cricket. That seems just it's not that you just you completely counted him out of combat. He cannot do combat.
Yeah.
Combat is not a part of his game.
He won't be involved in that.
That seems
But
like
what if
an
he
issue.
he could get stepped on and then your whole team would just
No.
fall apart.
He can fly.
That could just happen on accident.
Listen, I
guess,
think
but-
I think your concerns are valid, but ultimately outweighed by the merits he brings.
All right. Well,
So, but
fine.
you two both clearly agree on what the worst pick was. I think you guys both need to rewatch Pinocchio because Jiminy Cricket's a great character and a great sidekick. It would be a great leader and fit for my team. The only other pick that I was surprised by, other than Shenzi, which we touched on, we kind of hit on the drawbacks of Shenzi in the first half of the pod, was Bruni. But only because I have not seen Frozen 2 and really have no idea about Bruni. But I thought it was a little unfair that immediately after I took Mushu, a smaller fire-wielding character was created, or was
Yeah,
picked.
okay, but fire, but Bruni is a fire-wielding character.
But it's a-
Mushu
it's
is
a
like
salamander,
is a
right?
candle. Mushu is a candle-wielding character. Mushu cannot actually breathe fire. Bruni creates fire from his being. Now, granted, in the movie,
that
if
sounds
you watch
wild
it,
and out
it
of
gets
control.
A little, it does get a little out of control.
That sounds
You-
more
you're-
harmful than helpful.
You're catching on to one of those plot points in Frozen 2. Give it a watch. But yeah, it'll take some training and kind of some exercises to make it work in our favor. But the good news is if it doesn't work, he's small enough where he can kind of be tucked away. a little bit.
Yeah, I'm unconvinced. I just felt like after Mushu was so roundly criticized by the two of you that Preston got off easy with his very, like, immediately after Bruni pick.
Mushu's entire character is built on failure.
I want to say I don't think that Mushu is necessarily a bad pick. Again, he really provides the, like, rounding out, like, emotional kind of, like, bringing people together in a certain situation, like, that I think is very valuable. I just don't think that, like, he's a dragon, but he doesn't really bring the dragon qualities to the team.
I just think we haven't seen Mushu at his best yet.
I would even fight you that he provides emotional support to the team, because most of the times in Mulan, he is telling Mulan to not do the thing she's about to do that advances her character arc. So I think he's more of like a selfish, like, let me do what I've been sitting here to do, which is like get you home and not participate.
He's
in
her
anything
guardian
heroic.
spirit. I think that's hugely
not a
valuable.
good one.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, I get Eddie Murphy, who after Robin Williams is easily the most valuable actor on either of these lists.
Sure.
So don't let that be overlooked.
Do you get to bring in Donkey from the DreamWorks universe because you have Eddie Murphy?
Yes, exactly. And Beverly Hills Cop, how huge is that?
Well, okay, well now we're stretching it a little bit.
Okay, so who has the best team here? You can't pick your own. Sue, who is the best team?
Okay, this is...
We should let Sue pick her own if she wants to.
Okay. Are you? But I'm just gonna pick.
It's really
her,
just
right?
me. It's really just me that is not allowed
Only
to pick
Preston's not allowed to pick her.
Yeah,
pick his own? Okay.
I'm the only one that's done it up to this point, I think.
Okay, Sue.
I mean, I think I've got a pretty solid team, you know? I think I've got a good amount of size. I'm balanced. I've got some magical... I mean, I've got the genie, for God's sakes.
Yeah,
like, how
the
can you
genie.
argue
The
with
genie goes a
because
long
he
way.
can really do...
I think, your 5 picks after genie, we're fine. None of them, blew me away. But you're right. I mean, genie is just, like we said, so clearly the top number 1 pick here. Getting him is just such a strong start. I think it was very hard for either myself or Preston to catch you after that. But yeah, Preston, usual limitations for yourself. You can't pick Team Preston here. Who's the best?
Even if I could, I like my team, but I don't think when it comes to voting, people are gonna know who like any of these characters are. So I would be concerned about that. But I do think just the best overall team is probably Sue's team. The one downside I see is there are a lot of characters taken for emotional support. Like 3. I see like Shinzi is like the team leader and is fine in combat, but not like great. Mama Odie, definitely not really a combatant. And Pumbaa, kind of the same as Shinzi. But the other 3 are, if they can carry their weight, you've got a great team comp going on.
That's the thing. I do see some potential chemistry issues because, like, what are the other 5 going to do as Genie solves literally every problem on his own? What are the other 5 really doing here?
Hey, Genie is used to being a follower. He's used to being like he's a tool. He's not necessarily the leader. So I think he'll be okay. Like with listening to Shenzi. And again, Mama Odie, again, not a fighter, but she provides voodoo magic. That's huge, I think.
The magic is big.
Right. Pumbaa, I think, is definitely the weakest link here. But, in a pinch, he can get the job done, and then he provides that, emotional support and comedic relief, which is very necessary in these, hard times.
Sure. To be clear, I wasn't necessarily saying that Genie would, seize the power dynamic of the group. I just don't see a whole lot of crime fighting issues that the other 5 are going to be able to contribute a whole lot for. And I just think by default, because Genie is so powerful, he is going to be taking a lot of that responsibility. But I don't know. I don't know who to pick here. I mean, I really loved all of my picks, but both of you seem to hate them as much as I loved them. So I guess I can't pick myself.
I mean, Baymax is a great pick and kind of similar to Sue's team. If Baymax can carry you, then you're looking okay. I'm unconvinced by the utility of being able to fly around thanks to Tinkerbell.
I can't believe
I'm just
that
kind of unconvinced.
That seems so valuable to me. That all of my people can fly, every single one of them.
I guess so. I don't know.
Hopefully the people on Twitter will agree with me.
I mean, even like Mushu, the like 1.5-foot lizard flying around as a 1.5-foot lizard doesn't really seem to add a lot of, intimidation or power.
Listen,
to him.
people are going to see that I have a dragon on my team, and it's going to stop crime before I even have to show up because they don't know that he's
not
small.
a dragon. It's a whole plot point of the movie that he's not really a dragon.
Okay, well, I'm going to ignore that because he's clearly a dragon. If you ask people, hey, what's Mushu? They're going to say, oh, he's a dragon. He's the dragon that helps Mulan in Mulan.
I want to say that I do think that Preston has... I think having Phil as the coach is huge.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, again, he's had some failures, but, like, I think he's the best leader of all of our teams right now.
Except for Jiminy Cricket, you mean?
No. So I think that Preston does have a strong team. And again, he has a strong intimidation factor with the Manticore, Kerchak, and Louis the Alligator. But again, Louis the Alligator, I don't know if he doesn't have the killer instinct for sure. He's just going to be there for show. I don't know if he'll really show up in a fight. So
I kind of agree with you. That's my least favorite pick out of the group. I only saved Phil for last because I kind of knew he'd be around. But yeah, Louis the Alligator, I feel like I could have replaced with somebody else. I was thinking about Kronk, maybe, from Emperor's New Groove. Yeah, I don't know. So just another big, strong man.
Yeah, so Jiminy Cricket's going to win me the senior vote on Twitter, which is a big demographic. I'm really hoping that they both but yeah, I think, if I have to pick, I think it's Preston. It's like, Fairy Godmother is such a great, I didn't even think of her, but such a great non-Genie pick. Like, you get a lot of what you get from Genie with that, presumably.
Yes.
And just, I think, a little bit more well-rounded than Sue's. Both very strong teams, though. And mine, I guess, a very distant third place. But that's fine. I'm used to that around here. But anyway, that wraps us up for another episode of Drafted. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Sue, thanks so much for joining us. Did you enjoy the experience?
Oh, I had a great time. I hope you'll have me back.
Yeah, for sure. The next Disney draft that we left open by not including villains or princesses.
It's true. It's true.
And Preston, thank you, sir, as always, for being my trusty co-host and lambasting all of my picks. I'm Daniel Prentice. Thanks so much for tuning in this week. Be sure to follow us on @DraftedPod on Twitter. Let us know who you think won, and hit us up with those ideas for future episodes. Talk to you next week.